And welcome back to the Nose Plays. Today, I needed a little bit of a change up. I'm getting just a little burnt out in space sims, 4X sims. So instead of a space 4X sim today, we're going to play some Endless Legend. Now, this is just going to be a 30-turn one-off. I'm not really getting that burned out in space. We'll definitely be picking up the rest of the Riftborn series that we have. At least one more video in that one before I move on to something else. I have done a little bit of experimenting off camera to try to figure out what I want to do next. One option is definitely to revisit the Horatio. I had a lot of fun playing them in the past, and I haven't played them in a minute now, so that might be something that I end up doing. Another thing that I'm interested in maybe pursuing is giving the Hishu a serious playthrough. I've only ever really lightly experimented with them and have not had much success. But maybe now's the time to learn how to play them a little better. So that's something else I could consider doing. If you have any suggestions on that point for the next series after the Riftborn, please leave it in the comment section of any of those videos, or this video for that matter. This is going to be a one-off. I'm only going to play about 30 turns today. Hey man, it's great to have you on. I have some viewers that are commenting for me here. So we're just going to play some 30 turns of Endless Legend today live for you guys, and put it up on the channel as a one-off. I'm probably not going to revisit this game. Just wanted to do something different today. Just to give you a quick understanding of my settings, I'll just pop these up on the screen real quick and you can take a look at the details. If you want to pause the video so you can see what settings I'm using. And then as for our faction, I'm not really sure who I'm feeling. The last time I played Vaulters. I play a lot of Morgar. I think I did a video not too long ago with the Wild Walkers. I guess I'll throw this out to my viewer. I'll wait a few seconds. If you have any suggestions on who you'd like to see me play today, go ahead and throw that out in the comment section there. Cultists. Okay, we can do Cultists. I haven't done Cultists very much, so I'm not nearly as competent with them as I am with a lot of the other factions, but this will be fun for 30 turns. And away we go. So, Cultists, if you're not familiar with Endless Legend and with the history of the game, Cultists are actually a community-made faction. They were heavily influenced by the community. Amplitude does this with a lot of their games now, where they offer opportunities for the community to provide lots of feedback on a custom faction that the community sort of develops in hand with the developers. And this was the result. What this faction is best known for is their inability to build more than one city. So they have a very, very unique playstyle that is often not very balanced, but the reality is Endless Legend is not a balanced game, and if you're looking for a balanced game, you're looking in the wrong place. The game is hopelessly unbalanced, but incredibly fun. So we will see.
The Endless broke us when they broke themselves. Now we are few, and many that remain are of little use. Yet our purpose still drives us. Even death cannot be allowed to stop us. We must find new converts, new servants, who will help us fulfill the great oaths we took so long ago. They will not only be our hands and our eyes, they will be the sword and the shield of our armies that will bring the eternal end. First upon Origa, and then across the universe.
Alright, so that gives you a little taste of the faction. Looks like we do have a Draken player. So the red player in the AI is a Draken player. Yeah, I'm trying something new with my comments. So normally I have them on screen, but YouTube is being dumb. So I've had to set up something slightly different through my streaming services. And so now my comments are actually on a dual monitor off to the side, which means a lot of times I'm so focused on the game I don't see comments. But if you do make a comment, I'll try to respond to it as much as I can as I notice them. But yeah, I will try to kind of focus on the game too, so it's kind of give or take. But if you do have a question, feel free to throw it in the comment section, and I'll respond to it one way or another, either live or as I come back to it. Go ahead and dismiss this. And the main thing to understand about these guys is they're one of those factions that has very, very unique playstyle. They're very, very weak in the early game, as I understand, because they start with some of the most garbage military units. But they do get substantially stronger, and they have some of the strongest mid to late game military units. They're also incredibly defensive. Let's just zoom out all the way here. So we're kind of on the northern end of the continent. You can always tell that by the way the screen is lined up. So if we were down here, this is the southern hemisphere, this is the northern hemisphere, and so you can tell there's not going to be a lot of territory to our north. It's unclear at this point in time whether we're on the coast or whether these are just lakes, but it could be that we're on the coast and this is a coastal ocean out this way, and then there's lots and lots of territory over here. So I always like to kind of scout this by zooming out on the map first. That's one of the things you can do. Also, right about here, you can see that this actually has quite a few of these really nice anomalies. So they're very similar to anomalies in Endless Space. They provide bonus resources on the tile that they spawn in. And building cities near them is usually a good idea, if possible. Also, the artwork, you zoom in here and you can see the anomalies are pretty cool. This territory doesn't look fantastic unless it is an ocean territory. One of the things that really hinders these guys is if you build in a territory that's landlocked, you have zero access to the ocean. Where if you build on a coastal tile, you can actually expand your empire quite extensively through ocean tiles, because you're not limited to just a single city if you can get ocean tiles. So ocean tiles don't count against you like they regular ones do. But I don't really actually have any vision on these tiles. I can't seem to... Like when I mouse over this one, you can see I get information on it. It'll usually tell you if this is inland waters or ocean waters. Okay, well let's go ahead and do the research, or the scouting. 5 glass steel. It's not terrible. I guess the first thing we can do is grab one of our preachers. And as you can see, preachers, stat-wise, are not particularly good. They're more of a support unit, and they have a special function in the game when it comes to minor civilizations and the way that you interact with them. But they're pretty garbage as a military unit. So we're going to go ahead and grab just this guy and maybe send him out this way. I'm actually going to just come out one tile first. And then I can see, this is a coastal water. Okay, so this is actually not bad. So we are on the coast, so this is probably all ocean. And then the majority of the continent is going to be this way, and then this way. So that's actually pretty good for us. This tile right here actually potentially has some real value to me, because I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 land tiles around it, which means you can build a cargo dock, which is a really important building later in the game, and you can level it up. and leveling up a cargo dock is actually really powerful in this game. So I think I'm probably going to head over there, but let's go ahead and move this guy over just to make sure that that actually makes sense. Yeah, that's actually not a bad spot at all. So we can build, let's turn on the hex grid real quick. So what I'm looking at in this game is I want to be able to build cities that are triangular in shape. So I can kind of see a nice triangle right here that's about 4 by 4 by 4, if you see that. That shape is what I'm looking for, and the ability to level up a cargo dock is included in that, which is incredibly powerful. And actually, based on the shape of this, we could actually go down to here and we could build it out 5. So that's a very large city that's triangular in shape, which helps with approval in this game, and maybe we'll get to a point where I explain that. I generally don't play with the fidsies displayed, but I will when I'm settling. So for right now, we'll turn it on just so I can see what's going on here. So while the shape is really good, there are some concerns. The biggest concern that I see about this territory at the moment is the lack of science. So science is going to be a real problem for us if we don't supplement it some other way. However, the resource yields are pretty good with 2 anomalies here and 1 more that we'll pick up as we grow. So I'm not too concerned about that. We can supplement science with buildings. Man, the other thing that's a real downer about this spot versus the rest of this territory is rivers are really, really good in this game. They don't start out very good. They do provide a little bit of bonus resource, but not much. But in the late game, there are a lot of buildings that improve river quality tile or river tile quality. So you'll get a lot of extra resources on river tiles if you build certain buildings, including science. I believe rivers get bonuses for science, for dust, and I think even industry at some point in the game, but that might not be for all factions. It's been a while since I played, so I think I am going to go ahead and build over here, though. This gives us more room if we have an invading army to deal with them. They have to come all the way to the coast. Also, starting on the spot with two resources here is probably the better choice. So we're going to go ahead and send this other preacher out this direction and see if we can't scout. That's probably good. I guess I'm going to have to... transfer. Oh, it won't let me move on to that tile, that's why. I forgot. There's an issue with moving characters onto ruin tiles. The game does not allow you to move units on or through ruins for whatever reason. We'll move him up this way and get some information that direction, and then I'm going to move this guy this direction. Get some information over there, and then this guy's going to move over to the tile that I want to settle in. I think that's probably the best tile, but just to be sure, I can click on this and we can kind of get an idea of what the outputs are on various tiles that I might want to settle. This is really the only one I can reach that's in that triangle. I guess I could also get to this one, right? Yeah. So 13, 15, 5, or 6, or 13, 11, 6, and 4. This is actually better. Yeah, this one's actually better, so I guess we'll just go to that one. Alright. I'm down with that. Go ahead and move there. And then we'll settle our city right there. Alright, so far so good. The Dogeshi are our minor civilization. Dogeshi are a decent cavalry unit. They also provide some cool benefits on certain luxury resources, but we actually don't have any luxury resources in this tile. There are some ways that we can get access to them, but they're not immediately evident. And actually, I don't know for sure. Are those Dogeshi? No. The Dogeshi are one of these. Okay, so the Dogeshi are over there. And also there. So both of those are part of the same tile. And then Ursas. Ursas are actually really good. This unit is not good for us at all. Ceratins are unit production cost reduced. We'll have to take a look at that. They're kind of a support class, if I'm not mistaken, which we already started with, so they're not a great minor civ for us, but we'll have to take care of them one way or another. Up here you can see our city information at the top of the screen when we're in city mode, and we have one population pip. And similar to Endless Space, we can move this population pip around to produce different amounts of resources. Unlike regular Endless Space, they don't produce all the resources, they only get to work at one of these things at a time. And I like to generally start on food for the first few turns of the game, just so I can get more population pips that I have the ability to then manipulate, because your needs are ever changing in this game, and as we grow into the later parts of the game, we need to be able to customize our resources a little bit, so having more population makes that possible. Yes, we just checked the minor factions, so we now know the ones that are near us and the one that we have. The Ceratins are one of my least favorites. I'm not real big fans of them. I do really like the Dogeshi and the Ursers. What was the other one? I can't remember. Oh yeah, the Erix. The Irisis. The Irisis are actually interesting if you get enough villages, because the movement speed can be really helpful for certain factions, but not so much for ours. Let's go ahead and get out of city mode, and we can use this guy to search this ruin. And I probably should have done that before I settled, but no big deal. We started with a little bit of each of the strategic resources, which is nice. And now that we're done settling, I can turn that off because it looks a lot prettier when you do. Is there anything else? Yeah, we need to pick a technology. So for technologies, I really like the way that they did technologies in Endless Legend, and I really wish that more of Endless Space translated to this, because I think this was exceptionally done. It's essentially the same thing, but it's in smaller chunks, so you have less to worry about, or less information to kind of like overload your mind. And so the eras are still within this, just like in Endless Space. But you can see that each era has its own bubble, and in order to move to the next bubble, you have to unlock a certain number in the first era to get to the second. And you can see we have 2, and this will continue to unlock all the way around. And then when we get more of these, this one unlocks, and then so on and so forth. There are a couple of big differences. Number one, there are no tech chains that help reduce the cost of science. And then the other big difference is that we don't go through one pie at a time. So I don't have to get these to unlock this pie. All of these will unlock this at some point, and so on and so forth. Also, as you move from era to era, there are the big bonuses, similar to the little bonuses you get between eras in the science tech. I'm going to have to step away for just a second, and I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. My dogs were acting a fool outside and I had to go deal with them for a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. So actually, no, we need to pick a research. So we start with language square and military science. This is a really interesting defensive building. The main thing that's interesting about it is the +1 XP per turn on your army. And so you can actually level up your army quite significantly by sticking a bunch of people in your city. Yes, actually we can look at deeds right now because I think they're on the same page here. So deeds are something that's also innate in both games. Deeds are a little bit different here. They're out to the side. And it looks like we can get a bunch of this +30 approval resource. I wanted to say transvine, but it's not transvine in this game. This is wine. And then we have a building very similar to the tier 1 building. This one is one we can actually get started on right now, which is crazy because we found those 2 deposits, but we don't have the industry to really accomplish it in a reasonable amount of time. And just like in other 4X games, industry is sort of king, so we're probably going to start with the industry building first, but sometimes it makes sense to grab some of these other techs. This one in particular can be useful to start with as your first research. But since we already have it unlocked, I think we will just go ahead and activate this one. And I can actually queue up multiple researches if I wanted to. But I think we're just going to let that one complete for now. I don't have a lot. Is there anything else I need to say about this one here? Be the first to pacify 8 villages. We could actually do that because we start with this technology. So we could try to parlay with a bunch of villages and see if we can get them to be nice to us through various quests and gifts. Alright, and the only other thing that I could do right now is I could bind our hero to one of these characters, because in reality there are only 2 directions that we can really travel in terms of searching, but I might wait because I can parlay with more villages if I keep them separated, at least for the short term. The downside to having them split into 3 is we're running negative dust right now, and that has to do with the number of armies that we're trying to keep up, and we could reduce that cost to go positive if I rebind him to one of my characters over here and start actually accruing dust. So maybe I do that. I can bring him down to this guy and then use him, and we'll parlay with this and then just sort of swing out that way with him. I believe that makes the most sense. So we can assign the hero to this army, and notice now my dust has gone up by 4 and we're now positive in dust. I'll go ahead and queue his movement to there, and we'll probably queue his movement to there so we can parlay with those 2 villages next turn. And I think that's good enough for the first turn of the game. I'm going to demonstrate a little interesting addition that I helped, both me and SB helped sort of get into the game. I noticed in SB's playthroughs when he was playing through ELCP that a lot of times in the game he was constantly having to smash this button over and over and over and over again. And I actually got into contact with the lead developer of ELCP through his Discord channel and made a suggestion that maybe there's some way to auto queue your movement so you don't have to do that every single turn in the mid to late game, and he actually added it into the game, which is awesome. So now with ELCP, we might want to actually do this first. There we go. With ELCP, you'll just press this, and then you press this button one time. And it will automatically move all of your queued orders. You don't have to smash it. You just press it one time and it will queue everybody up. If you don't press it, your units will remain stationary until you do activate it or move them individually. But if you have somebody that's like trying to run away from combat, this is a really great way to make sure that they don't get attacked and they actually get away. And you don't have to sit here and remember to go click, 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 click. So that's really cool. That's awesome. I really appreciate everything SB does. He's an incredible YouTuber, and particularly for these types of games. And he's the one who really inspired me to try to do this on my own. And I've had a lot of fun, and I have really enjoyed the feedback that I've gotten from other people, that I'm able to help them enjoy the game more through my educational videos and just my playthroughs and my thoughts on how I play the game. We're going to go ahead and parlay with these guys. This gives us a quest, and if we can achieve the quest, then we can actually get them to kind of join us, which is nice. Unfortunately, we don't have any spices, so that's something we're not going to be able to do in the short term. I'll go ahead and cue his movement up that direction like I said before, and then we can do the same thing here. Return to this village when you're ready to give them 50 dust. We'll get a reward of 10 influence for 50 dust. And usually we get a second part of this quest that we then have to achieve in order to get them to join us. Sometimes it's something very easy, and other times it's something much more difficult. Because my dust is so low right now, I'm not sure that I want to do that just yet. But I don't know when I'm going to be back over here. So this is one of our first big critical decisions that we're going to have to make. Do we want to basically go broke trying to get a quest that we may or may not be able to complete? Or do we want to save our dust for something else? I think we're going to roll the dice. Alright, these are one of the better factions to try to get on your side. So all they want us to do is take a hero-led army and talk to another village in that region. And we get pacification. So that was the easier reward, so that's good. And we get to do what we were going to do anyways, which is scout this territory. So that worked out well for us. Alright, I don't need those updates anymore. No, I don't want you moving back that way. In fact, I don't want you moving at all. We'll move to there. We'll move to the edge of our vision. It always makes sense to move to the edge of your vision and then make decisions on where to move after that. Because sometimes you'll reveal things that influence where you want to go, rather than moving into the fog of war. Alright, so if I click here, he's queued up, everything looks good. Mill Foundry in 4 turns. Let's talk briefly about the building that I queued up over here. First of all, I like to expand these. So the Founders Memorial is a building that every faction starts with. It's a very cheap building that gives you a lot of resources for a very cheap price, and it's almost always the first thing that you want to build. Out of curiosity, how long would it take us to build the museum? It would take us 34 turns with our current population and resources. If I move this over, that reduces it to 27 turns, and we're actually going to get more population if we stay on food. So realistically, we could get that built second in less than 30 turns. But I don't know if it's worth stalling everything else for. And we might need these resources for something else. If I put it in the queue, it actually takes up a tile, which is nice because it gives us basically some free growth. But it will also consume these as long as it's in the queue, and I won't be able to use them as a pacification gift for miner sieves. So I'm not going to queue it up right now. There's no need to. In fact, the second building that we're almost certainly going to queue up is this one as soon as we get it researched. And I'll just tap that once, and everybody will move. That's so nice. I love having that. Okay, so here's an Ursa's village, but you'll notice it's not highlighted in any way from our quest, which means it's not the one that we're looking for. So we actually want to move back this way and see if we can find it. It's probably going to be down here somewhere. Also, zooming out, you can see that we've found the border of the light green player. We don't know who the light green player is yet, and it's probably best that we avoid them in the short term, because a lot of times, as soon as a faction meets you, they can get very aggressive with you, and especially more so in ELCP than in some of the other versions. I'm also playing on the serious difficulty level, which is pretty hard. This is probably about as hard as you want to play if you're competent in the game with ELCP turned on. The Endless and the next Expert, or whatever the one above Serious is, before Endless, are almost impossible. The amount of cheating that the AI gets, plus the improved efficiency and realistic behaviors of the AI with this mod, make them really, really hard to beat or even play against. But Serious is it's a really good challenge. I usually play on hard for a little bit less of a challenge, but still a fun experience. And if you're a beginner at the game, normal with ELCP is going to be difficult, but probably pretty fun. I don't think there's much else for us to do. We really need to find some dust. I can queue his movement up to that tile, and we can queue his movement to that tile and hopefully reveal where we need to go. I could also go over here first, but I think we're going to go there. Alright, that's actually good for us. Maybe we'll uncover something. And interesting, Kazanji. Also, we can see from that weird pattern underneath indicates that there's actually a city over here. And so whoever green is, they settled their city right on the border, but not directly against it. That's generally bad. You don't want to settle on the borders of your tile unless you do it in a way that allows you to still get all of the tile collection. So you grab a tile and you get the 6 tiles that surround it. If you were to build too close, you actually miss out on tiles, which is really, really bad. Kazanji are one of the scariest miner civs. They're incredibly powerful military units, but they're also very expensive. And they also produce influence, which is a resource that's sometimes hard to come by in this game, just like it is in Endless Space. This is good for us. 5 more titanium, that's excellent. And I can go ahead and move to that tile and grab that next turn. And then this guy actually has another parlay. Interesting. Does not want to negotiate right now. Okay. I'm not sure why. Did we get a quest to attack them or something? I don't think we did. 8 spices. Yeah. They might be in a quest with another faction or something like that. I'm not sure why we can't talk to these guys. Alright. This looks like a good spot. Alright, Founders Memorial has been constructed. We're still 1 turn away from the mill foundry. What could we build in the meantime? I could go ahead and get my burrow up. burrows are kind of an interesting building. What they do is they expand the number of tiles that you get to exploit, but they do so with a slight penalty, and that penalty has to do with your approval. You have an approval system very similar to Endless Space here. Bonus approval gives you bonus fidsies. Negative approval gives you negative fidsies by a percent. And building cities in a particular way will actually minimize the amount of negative approval that you experience by leveling up certain tiles. And the way that you level up a tile is you surround it with other tiles. Once you get 4 tiles around a tile, it will level up and it will produce more resources, and it will also increase the amount of approval in that tile. And that's why the triangle shape why the triangle shape is important. It's because it maximizes that efficiency in leveling up tiles. I'm not going to explain it in detail right here, but just be aware that that's why we want to do it. If I were to build a burrow, this one's probably the best one to go into, and it would take 9 turns, which is too long. I still don't want to do that yet, so probably just get like 1 turn of construction done on a preacher, because we're going to need more of them. I don't want to finish him because we don't want the upkeep cost. Alright, go ahead and search this. 30 dust, that's really helpful. And notice that this village has little rays of light. That indicates that there's a quest there. And if I mouse over this tile, you can see over to the left of the screen, it gives you a bunch of information, including the name of the quest that this tile is associated with. And so if I remember too many chiefs and I go to my quests, I can see, oh, it's this one, and remember what it is if I've forgotten. So that's a pretty helpful visual indicator. We can actually move there this turn and get this accomplished, which would be great for us. And we now have these guys pacified. So what that means is that these villages are no longer going to be aggressive to us. You can see that they will show up in orange, and all 3 of them, all of the villages in this region, are now pacified to our faction. So that's really, really helpful. At some point, we're going to want to try to convert these. We don't have enough influence points to do a conversion yet. And it's not actually indicating what the cost of that is. So I'll have to wait and see. I believe the cost goes up the more of them you convert too. So that quest is complete and our heroes leveled up. These heroes are incredibly powerful governors because they increase the output of all of your populations significantly. And so what you want to do with these heroes generally, and particularly this one, is you want to level up a lot of these per population bonuses and then move up the tree. This one gives you even more per population bonuses, well, percent bonuses on your city. And then this one can be pretty helpful once wintertime becomes a problem. But yeah, lots and lots of bonuses, both flat in the early game and percent bonuses in the mid to late game, that make this hero incredibly good as a governor. So we'll go ahead and apply that, and I can probably send him back to the city. Am I ready to do that yet? I don't have the ability to yet. He's still locked in his current assignment. It looks like he's only locked in that assignment for 1 more turn, and we've actually done the one thing that we wanted to do, was scout the southern region. So we can probably try to find maybe 1 more thing to uncover, like this. Very nice. And then continue moving to the south. I guess the other option I have is I could try to level him up a little faster by next turn jumping him over to this army and then doing some parlays over here, which I would consider doing. Since our population isn't very high, he doesn't provide a huge amount of resources yet, so that's another option. Alright, we already did all of those. This is done in one turn, so we'll want to queue that in front of the soldier. And now we need to pick a new research. Because our science is so bad, I'm probably going to go ahead and grab the science building next, which will help us out tremendously. If we don't do that, our science is going to really stall, and we're going to run out of things to construct because we can't keep our science fast enough. 5 turns to get the mill foundry done, only 2 turns till our next population pip. I'll probably get this up to about 4 pips before I start moving things over to industry. Alright, and let's go ahead and move this guy this way first. Okay, we can see somebody's already destroyed that village. So some aggressive behavior going on from one of our neighbors. And then I can assign my hero to this army. And now that hero will get the experience for this. Return to this village when you're ready to give them 50 dust. We do not have the dust to give them, so that's not going to happen. Movement-wise, we are out of movement. But I probably want to head down, or no, they're part of the same region, so I won't be able to parlay with that other faction. So we'll probably just like move to there. Alright, this is probably good for now. Getting a coastal region was very lucky for us. Oh, that's really bad for us though. Holy crap. Okay, so if you're only familiar with Endless Space, you know the Cravers. Well, these are kind of like the precursors to the Cravers. They're a very, very aggressive faction. They can never have peace with anybody. They are called the Necrophage. Necro meaning dead, phage meaning eat, gives you a little bit of what you need to know about these guys. And they're very creepy looking. They're also one of the most aggressive factions in the game. They will attack everybody around them because it's basically how they grow. They thrive on attrition, and so as things die, they actually get bonus food, which helps them grow. So sending like waves of armies at your enemies over and over again just to let them get killed actually works out in their favor resource-wise in some cases. And so, yeah, that's not good for us. The nice thing is we're incredibly defensive early, and we can grow into a very defensive position. But because we can't take any of this territory or really contest any of this territory well, there's a chance that these guys get to just grow really out of control and eventually get to the point where they're too big for us to stop. So this is kind of bad for us. Also, 2 of their military units and a hero will completely destroy this guy, who needs to run like the wind as far away from them as possible. Probably to that tile. And then hopefully from there to that tile before we get attacked. I'm pretty sure they can't attack us if we move right away. But yeah, that's interesting. Alright, we found the pink player. So at least there is one other faction over here. Hopefully they're not as aggressive, but we'll see. We need to get maybe back to this one or that one and see if we can't convert one of those two. That will help a little bit. We'll also improve our output in our home. We'll explain conversion with these guys here in a minute. So far, other than our neighbors, I'm pretty happy with our start. Minor Civ is unfortunate that we started with. Which direction do I want to go? Probably this way at this point. Maybe swing back around here. Who are these? The Magtai. Plus 10 fortifications. Not particularly useful, but this was a new faction that came out when Chinese support was finally added to the game. Which is kind of cool. They're a civilization or a minor civ strongly based on Chinese mythology. Hence the fortification defense tied to the Great Wall of China, I believe, is how that's supposed to work. Population has grown to 3. That's good. Let's see. Let's click on our city. We're now 6 turns away from another population growth. 6 turns. Out of curiosity, if I move all of these guys over to industry, that's going to more than double the turns that it takes us to grow. But it's also going to reduce this by a turn. Now, this gets done in 18 turns, which will be even less than 18 turns once the mill foundry gets completed. So maybe we do just like roll right into that. So we're at 19 turns now. We'll see how much it drops when this building gets completed. If it's significant, I might keep it there. If it's not, I might remove it. Putting it in the queue does consume half of our strategics, but if I remove it from the queue, we get them back. So it doesn't really cost us anything to put it in the queue, at least until we start construction. Once we start construction of it, I can't remove it from the queue without losing the industry. I think we still get back the strategics though. Alright. He should be able to get back to this tile. Yes. And we do have the influence now to convert it, so I am going to go ahead and convert these guys. Cool. I believe that essentially means that we're getting a industry bonus now. And we actually got another population. Not sure how we did that. In village, Ursur's village, Rumbler. Okay. We do have this. I wonder if that population came from converting this. We can assimilate these guys. If we do, because we have one village, we get a production bonus. But it costs 30 influence to do that. So we don't actually get the bonus until we convert them. However, we do get access to their military unit. And we can create an army with them and send them out to fight things, which is kind of handy. Unfortunately, they cannot convert villages, only the preacher can. So that's where having having a preacher is important, absolutely imperative, actually. Activate 2 boosters to prove your wisdom and power. Well, we haven't got any rewards that allow us to activate a booster, so that's unfortunate. We're not going to be able to get that done anytime soon. But we can move back here. Alright. This will be done in 1 turn. So this is already dropped to 16 turns. This is going to drop it significantly less. But let's see how much. Do I want to... I probably want the overflow industry rolling into this, just in case I want to kick this out. We're going to need another preacher anyways. Ooh. Yeah. So we're actually down to 12 turns on this. The question is, can I delay for 12 turns? And I don't think the answer to that is yes. We're running negative dust now. And our science is a big problem that the public library needs to get built and solve. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and get the preacher, and I'm going to kick this out of the queue. And we'll probably build another preacher. That'll give us 4 in total, which is the largest army we can stack right now is 4 units. And then we're going to use that 4 army to do some damage to some of the minor civs around us. Okay, nothing of interest, unfortunately. I don't really want to walk through the forest. Slow your movement down. So we'll probably move to there. This guy needs to move down here and then do some parlaying over here. And at this point, we can't assign our hero here yet. How many more turns do we have? 1 turn. So in 1 turn we can bring our hero back here, and now that we have a population of 4, we're actually going to get a lot more out of the hero being in our city. Get everybody moving. Research is now completed. We need 44 influence. We are way far away from 44 influence, so actually, yeah, we're just going to need to move and uncover this region. Move to there. We've already parlayed with 1 village in this tile, so this one probably won't talk to us. And we've already parlayed with these villages, so there's really not a lot more for this hero to pick up in terms of XP. So now is definitely the time to bring him back here. Also, the public library needs to be constructed immediately because our research is really... And that needs to be followed by the Empire, because our dust is also really bad, and that will help significantly. So once we get those core dust industry science buildings built, we can start to look at other things. Also, because I have a high population, I can start moving characters or population pips if I want to. And in some ways, it sort of makes sense to do that because we actually don't lose a turn on the public library getting constructed. The other thing that's really helpful now that our hero's over here is this gets boosted by our hero. And so we can actually increase our influence rate. And this is one of the ways that you get a lot of influence to do more conversions, is by running population on this task. Unfortunately, in the early game, we can't really afford to do that because we really need to get some of these core buildings built ASAP. So that's going to happen first. We'll go ahead and end another turn, get our guys moving, hopefully find a good reward here. 40 dust, not bad. We definitely need the dust. The Dogeshi's quest is too many chiefs. That was pay them 50 gold and then do something. We should try and accomplish that at this point. So I can get to that tile next turn. Now that we have the dust to pull that off, it's probably worth doing. Move to this tile first, and then finish our movement like that. Yeah, let's just move to there. Alright, this will be done in one turn, but the mint is going to take 7 turns to complete. However, once this building gets completed, the mint will be done sooner because we'll have more science output. The problem is, yeah, that nearly doubled our science output. The problem is there aren't a lot of other science buildings that are worthwhile in the early part of the game. And so because of that, the dust is helpful. Guess we'll just try to get the last little bit of this region uncovered. There's no sense in talking to them. We've already talked to these ones. All right. Move him. Produce 40 science in one of your cities for 10 turns. That's going to be really hard for us to do. The reward is only 20 influence, so it's not that great of a quest. It will happen eventually. The only way that it's likely to happen is if we move everybody like this. And we can actually do this in 10 turns, but at the cost of slowing down the production of everything else that we're doing, which I'm not a fan of. Ooh, that's one thing to think about though. So one of the things that's really curious, and I need to actually, I've been meaning to, I think about this occasionally, and I never actually go back and look at it. But in Endless Legend, when a hero is the governor of a city, they get a small amount of XP every turn. And then whenever construction completes, they get bonus XP. However, there is one other factor that helps level up heroes that are governors. Is they get an extra point of XP for every unit that is not a militia in their garrison. So if we look at our character right now, we can see that he is level 2, and he is currently earning 2 experience per turn. 1 for himself passively, and 1 for the extra preacher that is in the construction, or that is in the garrison. When we complete this preacher, this will go up to 3 XP per turn. And so one of the things that you can do to level up your heroes is you can take really garbage military units that are very cheap to construct and just fill their garrisons with them. And that will boost their XP and provide you a little bit of extra defense. But it does come at the cost of dust. So there is a small amount of upkeep cost in dust that you have to pay to make that happen. The nice thing is, once they're there, you can just let them sit there and help passively increase the XP of your heroes. And then whenever you need them for, say, actual defense later in the game, you can just upgrade their designs once you have your economy online and you have enough dust to pull that off. One thing that I've been meaning to check in Endless Space is if governors get the same kind of bonus from fleets or ships that are garrisoned in their system. And I have never actually taken the time to check to see if that's actually a thing in that game. But it's something that I've been meaning to check because it's sort of a really unknown detail in Endless Legend that not a lot of people think about. But I'm actually going to let this preacher get completed because even though we're running negative dust, I can mainly resolve that through manipulation of our population. And also the passive XP on the hero will level him up faster, which then increases the outputs of everybody. So we definitely want to have at least maybe positive like that, and then we'll put these two over here. And in fact, because I don't really need the industry to complete this, I'm actually going to go with food for a couple of turns just to increase this next population construction. We need 3 turns for the Empire Mint. So now the question is, what do I build in the meantime? Because none of these buildings are really good. And I guess I could start construction of this, but extra militia. 3 turns. Yeah, let's go ahead and get this done. Once we have enough people or enough military units in here, we could get them to level up with this building, and that actually keeps them relevant into the mid to late game. It just helps them grow a little faster. Alright, so this guy needs to probably... Oh yeah, we were heading up here to finish this quest. And honestly, let's get some more influence. That's probably a more important resource to us right this second than food is. Food's growing at a reasonable rate at the moment. Empire plan is imminent. Empire plans are kind of a neat part of the game. This will be done in 3 turns, and I might actually be able to get it to 2. So there we go. We'll get that to 2 turns. And now, if I mouse over this hero, you can see that he's earning 3 XP per turn, just like I said. So he's actually tripled his base XP rate, which is great. And we can actually fit up to 4 in that garrison. So he can go from 1 per turn to 5 per turn. Okay, well that was good. We revealed a titanium deposit. Not that we can do a lot with it, but... this tribe has informed you that their kidnapped brothers are somewhere in the Magtai village, which has a marker on it. Destroy it for 10 moonleaf. Huh. Well, this is unfortunate for us. 10 moonleaf is no longer enough to cause a booster effect because of the unit that we converted. Also, it's probably the worst thing that we have available to boost because 50% science on a very small number is almost nothing, where 50% on something like industry is pretty reasonable at this point, especially if we stack all of our workers on industry. So this would really be more important for the +10 approval. But even that is not very helpful to us in the very, very short term. So this is not a quest that we're likely to achieve for these guys, which is unfortunate. Alright, I am ready to give you the 50 dust. And now they're asking us 5 titanium to the Dogeshi village in the same region. I can't quite tell if that one... Oh dear. Okay, never mind. I thought this one had gotten destroyed by the necrophage. It has not been destroyed yet. I can't quite tell where the marker is. We can see now that I've moved down a little bit that it's not in that particular direction. So we need to go this way, and there it is. And you can see the sun rays, and if we mouse over it, we can see Too Many Chiefs quest. So that's where we need to go next. Quest has been updated. Alright. What else do I want to do? So I'd say we're about halfway through this video today, which is good. 15. We're at turn 15 essentially, and we're 1 hour in, and I usually go 2 hours on a video, so that seems about right. It'll probably go a little bit faster than the first turn. First turn is always the longest. If we do hand over the titanium, we may not be able to build that one building. What was the amount that they wanted? 5. Actually, no, 5 would still allow us to finish the construction of that building, so that's actually good for us. I'm going to go ahead and end the turn. Move. Parlay with these guys. Okay, that quest is now completed. And if we go back to here, we can see that we're pretty close to achieving this. We have 6 of 8 villages that have been pacified. That's because we did 2 regions that each had 3 villages, and when you pacify one in the region, you pacify the entire region. So that's generally how it works. Unfortunately, or fortunately, maybe we convert these. We can't quite convert them this turn. I think, who else could we do? So probably these two. Eric's are not particularly dangerous military units, so we might be able to kill these 2 off and finish that quest, and that would be really helpful for us, mainly because we don't want anybody else to get it. And so what I'm going to do is group up our armies over here and probably send them after these guys. Empire Mint in 1 turn. This will be completed in 1 turn. Alright, our hero has leveled up. We're just going to put another point into this because it's too good. And then we need to decide what the next thing to build is. Now, we have this unit, which is a cavalry unit. It's not particularly great, but it has the sweep strike back, which is an interesting unit for a cavalry unit, or an interesting ability, which allows it to basically counterattack a little more effectively. We could go for the early food building. However, I don't like constructing this until winter time, so maybe we hold off on that. This building, unfortunately, is not going to give us a ton, because most of the terrain, as we looked at earlier, doesn't have science. We don't have the generation of these resources yet. And we're not quite coastal until I get my first burrow built. So getting this tech really doesn't make a lot of sense either. So now we're kind of like looking at maybe the approval tech. The approval tech's not bad. If you get happy, you're generating extra influence per turn, which is important to us, and it's one of the only early influence buildings you can build. So I'm okay with that. Darn, we're one tile away from grouping these guys back up. I'll just move them together like that for now. Once we group them up, we'll make a little bit of more dust per turn, and maybe we can move somebody off of this. Also, this needs to be done now. Sewer system in 4. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is combine these armies and move them this direction into our own territory. I'm actually just going to move here for now. The main reason I want to be in our own territory is we can go ahead and outfit these guys with some better gear. They have 2 weapons. Let's see, this is plus 12 attack, plus 6 defense, plus 4 damage, versus plus 6 attack, 9 initiative, 4 health, and 4 damage. This also applies unsteady. And unsteady is a minus 10% attack on target for 2 rounds debuff. Lowering the attack of our enemies is actually more beneficial, I think, than slowing them down, which is what the base staff does. Because we're going to be in combat with these units and they suck. So anything we can do to lower the combat effectiveness of our enemies will probably be beneficial. So I think we're going to switch to this item, and then I can either improve our movement or I can improve our defenses and vision. Neither of those are really that important, and they're very expensive. So we're not going to give them a trinket just yet. The cost of retrofitting these would be 40, and we actually have 4 of these, so it's going to be 82 dust to retrofit all of our army, and we are definitely going to do that. Also, our hero can now be unassigned, and so we're going to leave them here for just another turn maybe, but eventually we're going to combine our hero with those other guys, and we're going to send them out on a quest. The hero has 2 options: a one-handed sword with infantry slayer, or a 2-handed claw with the sweep strike back ability. It actually does significantly more damage than the sword, but he also is much less defended. His defense goes from 50 with the claws to 56. Yeah, I guess the tier 1 shield's not as good as I thought. Alright, so we'll go with that for him. And then one thing that I do like to do is I don't mind putting this trinket on my hero if my hero is going to be a scout. Because the vision is actually pretty valuable, but only one unit in the army needs it to improve the vision of the whole army. So a lot of times it makes the most sense to put it on the hero. Since we're not scouting with this party, we're going to be doing combat. There's really no reason to throw this on him. The units we're fighting are not ranged, so sharp senses isn't very valuable to us. So this should be enough for him. And then this army I can pay to retrofit them right here. And now everybody's retrofitted. We've got the dust. We're ready to do some fighting. I might be able to pull... Not quite. I still want to stay positive on dust. So we're going to do that for now. The question is, do I want to pull this army out right now? And I think the answer is yes. And I think we're going to go fight these guys because we're not getting the spices. Actually, I'm going to wait one more turn because it's going to take one turn to move there and then another turn to move there. So yeah, we're going to wait 2 turns. And then once we can combine both of these armies together, we'll go fight this. And then we'll swing around, head north, and grab those 2 as well. Alright, let's end the turn. Somebody on turn 18 has already grabbed 9 technologies from this tree. We're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're almost done with our 6th. So they're that far ahead of us already. It takes 9 technologies to move to the next tier. When you do, the first player to unlock this tier actually unlocks a little bit of stuff for everybody. So new facilities on ocean tiles are now revealed that weren't there before. And it gives us a glimpse of what these are. So the next tier of challenges are Warrior's Way. Be the first to attack and defeat at least 10 armies. This almost always goes to Cravers. Masters of Market. Be the first to earn 2,000 influence. We actually have a shot at this one. But a lot of times we'll go to the Draken. And then Barons of Industry. This building is imperative that we get. If we don't get this building, it's pretty much an automatic loss. I don't know how you compete with this faction without getting this building, because you only have one city, and the industry in that city is massive, but it's not enough to overcome what other factions can do when they expand without something like this to just give you a huge boost to your industry. So we're definitely going to need that. Also, dust. The Eclipse has happened. This is something that was added with the Kapaku Cataclysm expansion. And it's a pretty neat little thing that happens every once in a while for a couple of turns. It gives you the chance to go back and search a lot of ruins and get really good rewards for it. And then there are like some buffs that spawn on the ground that if you pick up for a very brief time, you have some really advanced stats. The other thing that we can do is, since we do have this guy, we can break him out of his cage and we can send him over this way. And he can be part of this fight as well. Alright, I think we're good. And actually, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to go ahead and bring this army out. Yeah, cool. And I am going to go ahead and assign the hero to the army. and we're going to go ahead and get in a fight. And the reason that we're going to get in a fight is because any units that are around the unit that you're attacking can join in the fight as reinforcements. So we're going to take advantage of the fact that we're going to get reinforcements from this army and this village, and then that will give us a little bit less time to get over here and engage this one in a similar fashion. So we could go ahead and attack, and we can decide which units get to join us. So actually the Rumbler was close enough to be included in this fight as well. I'm going to go ahead and let him also stay in the fight, and we're just going to go offensive, manual, ready to fight. We can dismiss this. Okay. So I kind of don't want to fight them. Where are... Okay, there's our flags. So we're going to have 2 units in that reinforcement list spawn in here and here. The units that we primarily want to be fighting are actually the militia. So we're going to put these guys back behind our heroes so that they're unlikely to get attacked. We're going to let our militia and our heroes soak up most of the fighting, and then we'll just use these guys to sort of finish off any units that they can safely. Alright, unfortunately we didn't spawn in any of our militia. And these guys, as I mentioned, are a support unit. So they can actually provide a buff, which is what the default combat is indicating here with the green arrow on our own military units. I actually want these units to fall back off of the reinforcement tiles, and then they can buff. If they stay on the reinforcement tiles, they won't actually be able to cast a buff. This is probably okay. And then we'll go ahead and launch the combat from there. Alright, cool. And they'll both attack him, and that's not a big deal. Okay, and now these are militia, so we're actually going to send them into combat. We'll send him into combat with that one. I got a comment from one of my viewers asking that they heard that Endless Legend is actually a better game than Endless Space 2. Is that still true in your opinion? The answer is yes, in some ways. It's a different game than Endless Space 2, even though they're similar genres. The way that I've described it in reviews that I've done is it's a much more intimate game, where Endless Space 2 is like big open scale, universe. This is a lot more intimate. You're one planet, it's more of a civilization style game where you're dealing with tiles and you're dealing with regions, and so it's a little bit different game. The thing that makes Endless Legend better is it's more polished and the expansions are much better thought out. I believe that every single expansion in Endless Legend adds to the game in a positive way. I do not feel that way currently about the expansions in Endless Space 2. But the thing that really makes Endless Legend the better game is the Endless Legend community patch mod that you have to get from Enemy Leader Boss. He has a Discord. It's in the Discord. You join the Discord, you download it, you install it, and it improves the game so dramatically that it's not even funny. And the biggest thing that it does is not that it fixes all the bugs. There's a lot of bugs in the base game that it fixes. It's not that it adds quality of life improvements, which it does, but what it does is it improves the way that the AI plays the game to the point where it's believable, because that's the problem with the AI in most of these games. They do things that are so bizarre and dumb because it's just running an algorithm and it's not even thinking like a player would. And for whatever reason, the guys that worked on that patch were able to make the AI act in ways that are more predictable and more realistic. So that if you are aggressive with somebody, they get aggressive with you. If you're nice to somebody and you give them gifts in the ELCP mod, they reciprocate and they will actually act in meaningful ways through the diplomacy, which is really unique. I haven't found too many games that do diplomacy better than ELCP Endless Legend. You make rivals in that in this game. You can't make rivals in a lot of other games. Like, you just give them a ton of dust and they forgive every sin. Like, they won't do that in this game. So it's really, really cool. And there are still some shortcomings. I think the combat is probably the weakest point of the game. But everything else about Endless Legend is amazing. And like I said, the expansions all add mechanics that are well thought out and add to the game in a positive way. I really don't like some of the mechanics of the expansions in Endless Space 2. And until somebody improves them with a mod, I don't think it's going to happen, because Amplitude's moved on from that game. And they're really not going back and polishing it anymore. I know that they did just come out with some bug fixes and a patch that did a few things, but that's kind of the way that I feel about it. So I do apologize to those of you who want to see the Endless Legend fight going on right here in front of us that I've sort of put on hold, but I do like to answer the questions of people who ask. So there's my opinion, and then let's kind of get back to the game here. So we'll go ahead and launch this attack. This should be a no-brainer fight at this point. And I'm going to move him to there. How do I do this? I move him to there and then attack that. He'll attack that. And these guys can just do what they're doing. I can move this guy to that tile and attack there. Okay, everything looks good there. It should be the end of that one. He'll get an attack on that one. And just to let you guys know, the reason that I'm using the militia to do most of the fighting is because the militia completely regenerate their health. And so we don't have to worry about their damage being healed off over time. Just another quick question from my viewers. Do you have any recommendations for other Endless Space 2 content creators? Seems like there's not a lot out there. My most valuable resource for Endless Space 2 content creators has been 4X Alchemist. Unfortunately, they haven't been around in a while, so a lot of the stuff that they did in the past, which was really, really good, is dated, and things have been patched out of the game that they talk about. So you have to be really up with the game to even know whether the things they're talking about are still part of the game or not. But they have some really, really good content. If you want to go back and see what the game was like a few years ago, that's a great resource. Obviously, SB has a lot of content, but again, his stuff is a little dated at this point. There aren't too many others that are current that I'm aware of, at least. So if you're looking for like stuff right now today, how the game is, I don't really know who the best content creators are that are out there doing it, other than, I guess, myself. And I'm not sure that I'm the greatest content creator, but I definitely have a lot of information that's more current. that I'm sharing with you guys. So if anybody else knows any other content creators that are recent that are making Endless Space 2 content, please share that in the comment section of some of my videos and get those people involved. Get more viewers out there for them, because it's still a good game. It's just not as good as, I say good, it's not as polished as Endless Legend. But that's kind of to be expected because it's been around a lot longer, and you have a community of people like ELCP who are continually striving to make the game better. Alright, this fight is over at this point. We don't need to worry too much more about it. Our hero did take a little bit of damage, but heroes are tough, and they do heal. So that's another one down. We won't be able to grab that, but we will be able to pacify their village, which we should do next. That'll give us 7 of the 8 we need, and then we're just going to need to get one more of these. I think we have to destroy the village and then convert it in order to make that happen. I don't have any more movement. Okay, so we'll just have to wait in order to get that done. Unfortunately, we waited a little too long to get this village destroyed or pacified, and so they spawned a rebel army. These rebel armies will attack you even if you pacify the village later, and they just kind of wander around. Right now they're in the ocean, but they could come back on land and start causing us problems. If they do that in the next turn, we'll probably attack them. We'll get some XP off of it, and we'll get rid of them, and they won't be able to respawn now because this village is destroyed. And then we have both of these. So is this worth assimilating for 5% production cost reduction? Probably not. I have too many other things that we need the influence for right now. Alright, so here's the Dust Eclipse, and here's just a quick overview of the Dust Eclipse effects. Dust blizzards blow over Ariga, strange dust activity on temple ruins, dust confluxes emanate from the land, granting XP and temporary boosts. Worshipper's Frenzy. So this is our unique effect that we get as a faction. Every faction has some unique bonuses that only apply during a Dust Eclipse, which is kind of cool. And there's some really neat strategies you can build around them. The problem is the windows of opportunity are very small. Dust Eclipses generally only happen at the base settings for like 5 turns at most. So you have to like sort of be in position to take advantage of them. And it's hard to predict when they're going to happen. But you kind of have a sense of when they're going to happen. Extra attack, damage, defense, and health. Okay. So basically combat is good for us. We can move to that tile with this army. And then that tile with that army. And then I'll move him to there. And these guys did make it to land, so we're going to go ahead and attack them. And now we get to start the army. But I'm actually going to remove the Rumbler for this fight because I really only want the militia to fight this. So our preachers again are going to stand behind the hero, the militia and the hero are going to do most of the fighting, and these guys will just buff and attack where they're able to. And it looks like they got one guy way over there, one guy over here. I can actually start my hero in combat with him, and the rest of these guys we can sort of just keep in the back. That's probably good. Alright, so now we're ready to attack. He can attack that. It doesn't really matter which one of these buffs the hero, but the rest of them can probably just attack this. What's the range on their attack? Do I have a range of 3? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he should be able to shoot him from there without moving. In fact, they can all shoot this without moving, so there's really no need to move at all. And then we'll just send both of these militia to deal with that one, and then we'll spawn 2 more militia after they move off of those tiles. This should go just fine. Alright, cool. No problems there. Yep, that'll do it. Alright. And this will take a little while. The hero won't be able to do anything at this point because he's already boxed in. So we'll just get everybody attacking this. They'll move over and attack him if they're able to. If they're unable to, they'll buff somebody. There we go. This will be the last turn. Easy peasy. Battle is finished. And we're on to the next one, which I can get to in 1 turn. So we'll just set them up for that. 4 turns to get this done, 1 turn till the sewer system is completed. Once the sewer system gets completed, probably... Man, I don't know. We don't really need the extractors. The cavalry unit is not that useful. I would rather wait till we get the Nameless Guard, which are actually really fantastic military unit. And I didn't see any of those that we can really start collecting yet, so... I mean, I know I'm going to need boats eventually. And I'm also going to need food eventually. Food's probably more important than boats. Alright, next turn is going to be our turn 20, which is where we get to set our empire plan. So let's take a look at the empire plan and the opportunities that we have. So it's going to cost us 24 with a maximum of 96 if we wanted all of these. We definitely have the ability to get to a 96 if we wanted to, but we probably don't need the vision, so that drops us down to 72, which we can afford. And I'm not sure that I'm going to be building more military units yet. So that drops us down to 48. The science is good, even though it's a % bonus. It's still basically influence for more science, which I'm willing to pay. And I can also pay influence for more dust. And I think this is actually the plan that we want to consider, which means that I don't necessarily need to do any changes with my population. But when you get to the last turn or so before your empire plan, one of the things you can do is figure out what plan you want and then move your population around like this to make sure that you can actually achieve it. Again, we don't have to worry about that because we're fine. So I can put one person on dust for now. I am going to keep... I think I am going to just move people over. I can't quite get to 2 turns here. Well, I can if I do everybody. Oof. Yeah, food is becoming an issue. The more population you have, the more the next one costs for food-wise. And so until we get food buildings, we're going to kind of stall out in our food growth, unless we do something like that. And even then, it's still 7 turns. But that's why I like to get up to 4 or 5 population quickly. Well, I definitely want at least 1 person here, and I probably should keep 1 person here, just so we're getting a reasonable influence throughout the game. And we'll just let the rest of it roll. Alright. So, one thing to remember about the cost of this is before you place any cities down, you're going to want to make sure that you lock this in. Because if you place a city down on this turn with any other faction, and then try to lock this in, the cost of this goes up. And so you're going to pay like double. So make sure that you always do this before you drop a city on this turn. So we do that. The other thing you want to do is make sure you're running any boosters before you drop a city. But since we cannot drop any more cities, we don't have to worry about that. So this guy can move to there, and probably only needs to move to there. No, we're going to go take both of these out, I think. So I'll move him as far forward as I can. And we'll move this army here. Now, because we're not close enough to this city anymore, we're not going to get the militia. We're actually going to have to fight this battle. So I definitely want the extra military reinforcement unit to be part of this fight. But before I do it, is there anything else I really need to pay attention to? I don't think so. I think we're good. Also, keep in mind, our hero, because his army is 4 military units strong, he continues to get that bonus military XP. Where if his army was only 1 or 2 military units, he would get lower XP per turn, and he would level up much more slowly. So having a full stack, whether you're in a garrison and a governor, or whether you're as a military leader on the battlefield, will significantly increase the rate at which your hero levels. And generally speaking, at the beginning of the game, it's nice to split up your army so that you can get more land uncovered and get more intel. But there is a case to be made and an advantage to be had if you stack your 2 military units that you start with and your hero together, because your hero gets 3 XP per turn in the early game, and the amount of dust that you save on having a single stack army instead of 3 independent ones is appreciable. So there is an advantage to doing it both ways, and it just depends on whether you value dust and levels on your hero more than you value quickly uncovering sight on the map. Generally, site on the map is more valuable for some factions, but not necessarily for all. Alright, this should be a pretty easy fight. We are going to go ahead and continue to do these manually because these units are so bad. If we don't, there's a real opportunity for us to get sort of hosed. The hero can stay there. Everybody else wants to be as far back as possible. These tiles have some kind of dust effect on them, which mousing over them at the moment is not telling me. And it looks like there's different kinds because there's different symbols here. 1, 2, 3. These are open. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Everybody's 3 tiles away except for this guy, which I can move back 1. There we go. That's what we want. Alright. And we're just going to deal damage. Everybody's going to attack that. The hero's going to attack that. And the Rumbler will probably come up and attack that one. I'm actually interested in getting... He has an AoE attack, which works as a straight line AoE attack, so if he hits somebody and there's somebody behind him, he'll actually hit both. Pretty sure that's what our Rumbler has. Which means if I can get him in this tile, assuming that this guy moves here, that would be pretty efficient. We'll just go with that. Alright. Cool. And he got his stun off, so that's worked. This is probably irrelevant, but I am going to line him up like that. So he'll move here and then smack, and if this guy for any reason survives, we'll be in good shape. You saw our hero counterattack, and the sweep strike back actually hit both. That's the advantage to the claw attack. If you get attacked and you counterattack as a result, you hit every unit that's in base-to-base contact with you. So that worked out really well for us, actually. This is probably over. Perfect. And we actually completed this. Be the first to pacify 8 villages in order to get the reward. I guess pacification is still considered a success if you just destroy the village. I couldn't remember if you actually had to rebuild the village. We should still do that though. And while we're at it, we don't have enough to convert this village, but once it's destroyed, we should be able to convert it. Let's see, we've got reduction in upkeep of the military, and then this one is extra movement. So we definitely want to grab those if we can. We'll go destroy this other village real quick. Tactical training is just free in initiative, so that's actually pretty helpful. Make sure that we act sooner in the combat turn, which is always preferable to acting later. I guess that's not true. There are some scenarios where acting later can be advantageous, but one thing that we didn't talk about is pacification of these villages actually adds territory that we collect. So we're actually collecting the resources on these tiles. Unfortunately, picking a tile that's up against the edge doesn't give us these other 3. So this is one of the scenarios that I said is pretty bad. And honestly, grabbing this village would have been the better choice because we would have gotten all 7 tiles worth of resources. But I got scared away by the necrophage, and now they've taken over this territory, which is problematic. The thing is, we're still getting the resources for these, even though it's their territory. It looks like Pink has settled south and is encroaching on them a little bit. Okay, oh. Okay, so they just destroyed our village. That's unfortunate. So we've lost those resources. Fortunately, we get to keep the Ursur, which is nice. We'll grab that conflux. That gives us some XP on our military. And then we'll head over towards this one. These guys just need to stay close to this army. But they're going to go ahead and get a head start on walking up here, because these guys are going to be able to move very fast once they grab that. Alright, we are one turn away from the completion of this, and at this point I think it makes sense to go ahead and grab our sewer system, which will increase our happiness into the happy range, and once we're happy we get the extra influence point per turn, which is nice. And then this could be the moment where it makes sense to start building this guy. We'll see. The other thing that we should really consider doing for the next 20 turns is running as many people on dust as possible, because we're getting bonus dust per turn, and this will help us achieve a significant amount of income that we can then use to upgrade our military units again in the future, which we're going to need to do soonish. That does slow down the production of everything else, but that's probably okay right now. Like I said, our science is so bad right now that we're going to have a hard time keeping up with buildings. That should give us another population pip. And you can see we're producing a lot of dust now, which is good. Dust is useful. Alright, we're going to grab this, which gives us 4 movement. And actually, I didn't notice this, but there is another village over here that we just uncovered. What is the movement? Can we get all the way up there? No, but we can get all the way over here. So let's do that. And just out of curiosity, he is still in combat from right here. So if I attack this, it's showing him inside the range. Yeah, I should still get... Yeah, I do. Perfect. I guess we'll manual this one. They're going to be stuck on a single tile, and I'm going to put my hero in front of him, and that's going to be the end of that. Alright. Interesting. So, because they could only spawn 1 unit, we're going to have to do this fight again. Which I guess is okay, because we get XP twice. But that's kind of weird. This is a 40% upkeep on unit. Confluxes don't stack, So we should go ahead and grab that for him. And then he could move up to this tile now, but I'm actually going to move him back over here so that he can be part of the fight again. So he'll get XP for that as well. Assimilate the Dogeshi faction first. 30 glass steel, 60 dust. We cannot do the Dogeshi yet. But we might be able to soonish if we go fight them. I should be able to auto this. Yeah, we didn't take any damage. Alright, so let's move. I can move all the way up to there. But we won't be able to actually fight just yet. Let's move to there. We don't have our action point, so we can't continue to fight. But I can go ahead and reveal what the battlefield's going to look like, which means I can give this Ursur a head start on moving south. So we can move down to that anomaly. And he should be able to stay there and still be part of the fight. And then we can probably go fight this one in a similar fashion and just keep moving down towards these. We need to do more than pacify these guys. We need to try to get them to join us. And the way that we do that is through the conversion. Any units that we've got converted, we can assimilate. We'll just put them to sleep for a turn. The Urkins have started to awaken. We'll see them pop up here soon. Yeah, we'll fight this one. I'll put him... Can't quite put him in combat with both of them. Yeah, all of those are 3 tiles away. That's probably fine. Okay, so the first one's going to buff the hero, and everybody else is going to attack one. Except for you. You should attack one too. That's fine. There we go. Yep. Easy peasy, minimum damage. And we acquired some Moonleaf. Or no, this was a quest that we no longer get, right? Yeah, we failed the outcome of the quest, but that's okay. We can now move this army over here, which sets up a fight with the Magtai. And I can actually move into the jungle, but I think that's probably fine. No, we might as well. Okay. I can actually parlay with them. We're not going to be bringing back 8 titanium, but I do need to move him a little bit closer. Yeah, just 1 tile. So if we move him right there, he'll be able to engage in the fight with these guys next turn. And we'll just sleep. Cultivation in 1 turn. This will be finished in 1 turn. That's perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and take that out of the queue again, because we'll probably build the cultivation center next. Alright, so winter is almost upon us. The seed storage building does very little for us during the winter, so it makes sense to start working on this once winter arrives, and instead work on the construction of one of our other buildings. The husbandry center will get done in 5 turns. This is a really good one, especially if we want to grow our population quickly at any point in the game. So we're going to go ahead and add that there. And we're ready to fight these guys. Again, I should probably manual these. If I had stronger military units, I wouldn't be as opposed to just autoing it. But with how weak these guys can be, we have to be really careful. Actually, I'm just going to move them all back to the very back line. And we're going to let the hero engage. And we're going to let the Berserker, Ursa engage. And everybody else is just going to buff somebody. I don't really want anybody else moving, so that's probably fine. Alright. So it's going to take the hero a turn, but I want him to move to that tile. And now that these guys are probably going to focus the hero, it makes more sense to attack them. So we'll put 2 on them and 2 on them. And that will lower their attack a little bit, hopefully. This guy's not even going to get into combat. Hero's taking more damage than normal, but that's because these are ranged units, and ranged units can be annoying. Surprised that didn't actually kill him. I That should be it. Alright, so our hero's a little bit beat up now. But we are gaining quite a bit of experience. Can move this army south. Oh, I didn't even see that. I won't be able to fight that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move him south. Till next turn anyways. There's a good chance that he comes down and attacks this army, which will be fine, and then we'll just finish him off. I'll have to be a little careful with my hero. Let's see what they do. Yeah, here they come. Predictable. Alright, we'll go ahead and auto this one. No, we won't. We're going to manual this one. And this time, I think I'm going to keep my hero sort of towards the back. Whoops. Because I don't want my hero going down. We'll let the Rumbler do some of the work. And everybody else can just sort of heal, and the hero can hold his position for one turn. Alright. Let's see. The hero can now move into a position to attack. And everybody else can sort of attack one of these two. That one should be dead. Not quite. Alright. This should be the end of this. I shouldn't really have to apply much because that guy's dead in one hit and everybody else just focuses this guy down. And we're going to have to give our military some time to recover. Alright, now that we're in our own territory, that will be a little easier to do. This army is not quite there yet. And actually, we wanted to assimilate the Dogeshi, so I need to move there. I should have done that the turn that we killed that. Okay, winter has arrived. This is another bad one for us to try to grab. So honestly, what I really want to do is get down to this one. Because this one's going to give us these two tiles, which are better. This guy can just head over here for now. Alright, so the Urkin have taken over this tile. There's a big crab monster here. And you can actually get this thing to join you if you're strong enough. But we're not going to be strong enough for a while. So we're just going to have to ignore it. Plus it's on the other side of Green's territory, which is scary. Alright, so now is the perfect time to start working on seed storage. We can do them in this order. Also, food is still barely positive, so I'm not going to worry about moving any population off of dust. We're just going to keep making dust. We should be able to convert this village, and then we should have the influence to pacify, because we only need 30. But actually, now that I think about it, it's going to be 30 plus a bunch, which means maybe at least for one turn we do this, because I can't remember how much it is to pacify your first village. I think pacification of your first village is like 40. So that should give us more than 70. So we'll do that for one turn. Alright, so now this one, we'll convert that. And now that we have a Dogeshi village, we have 30, we can get them assimilated. And we got the bonus 60 dust and 30 glass steel. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to have happen. And then this army needs to just get back home, probably. We don't have the influence to assimilate more than just this one right now. We'll head down this way for a second. Hero has leveled up the final point of that. And that means it's about time to bring him home. He's going to benefit a lot more from being on our home territory than anywhere else. Also, because we made so much dust, it makes sense now to maybe grab another hero. And we'll keep the science that we've done to this, but I can switch the order in which we do them, because we don't need boats right now. So we'll just go ahead and start working on this. Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of dust right now, but that has to do entirely with the fact that we moved everybody over here. So we're going to move them all back now, and we're going to keep piling up dust. And this will give us the opportunity to buy a hero as we move into the next phase of the game. That means that our primary hero can just stay as the governor of this. And also, we now have military units. So we can actually build some cavalry, which can be really effective. And we can just use these preachers as a really crappy XP buff to our hero. And a defense. We don't really need to do much more with them. So probably the next 10 turns we get set up for this, and then starting on turn 40 we can use the 20% reduction to the cost of military units to get this guy out. If we have anything that delays us in between, I'll probably get the cantina built. And we've already taken care of all of this. Yeah, we're not doing great right now. At least on the score screen. Primarily what I'm looking for are pearls. If I see any pearls, I want to pick them up. Oh, there's their city. Alright, we don't want to be here much longer, so I'll queue him up to move there. And I can actually save a little bit of dust by moving him into the garrison. I won't be able to do that till next turn, it looks like. which is fine. These next few turns should go pretty fast. And it's been over 2 hours, mostly because I went on that rant earlier about Endless Legend and Endless Space 2, which is fine. I don't mind doing that for you guys because I know people have questions about it, and sometimes catching me in a live stream is the best time to answer them. So he can garrison now, but actually I want to garrison these 4, and I don't want to garrison him. So maybe we just send him out to keep scouting. Oh yeah, there's some pearls over there. Perfect. We'll get those in a second. Get that building in a second. Get our money. Get that. Things are going as well as can be expected at the moment. Alright, pearls for us. 1 movement away from being able to get into my... but I can garrison next turn. So we might as well stay here for 1 more turn to get the XP bonus. And actually, I just noticed that this is another continent or another region, another tile, and that's a ruin we can search, which is actually worth XP. So we should actually head over there and do that before we garrison. Alright, what are we going to do with Big Boy? This tile is pretty safe, as is this tile. There shouldn't be any military units up in there, unless Pink is roaming around. So I could just go pearl hunting with him. Probably the most effective and efficient thing I can do with him at the moment. We can move to there and search that next turn. And we need to start building an army of these guys. Also, we now have access to the military market. We could buy a boarding vessel and start scouting the ocean. They're pretty expensive, but more importantly, we actually have the dust now to buy a hero, and we need a military hero. Since we've already sort of set our primary hero to be a governor, so we should find one. I particularly like ranged military heroes, but we're looking for somebody with good combat stats. So army health boost is like a good one, but dust efficiency and spying are not particularly useful. Army attack boost is really good. Army attack boost 3. This one has army initiative boost 2. Army boost 2. Nope. Army damage boost 2. Army health boost and army initiative boost. Not interested in that one. Army defense boost and initiative boost. Defense boost and health boost. Or expansion support. I don't even know what that is. So attack means we hit more frequently. I'm more interested in any of the ones that have the damage boost. Which one of these had damage on them? Army damage boost 2 is good. I don't think anybody else had a damage boost, did they? No. So, EL+LECP, you have been chosen to lead my forces. Alright, EL+LECP, can I give you anything useful? The ring would be useful, increasing your vision. And for the brief duration that we're going to do it, we'll just put you with him, and that way, see, the increased vision's already helping, we can find pearls and level you up a little bit faster. The member in his party gives him 1 XP per turn, and then searching pearls gives him XP per turn. Until we get his actual army ready to go, that's what we should do. The other thing we should do, that I should have done last turn, is bust this guy out and get him over with you, so that you're now getting 3 XP per turn instead of just the 2. Alright, we should get ships very soon, which means we need to get our first burrow down and get access to this tile. So maybe that's actually what we work on. Yeah, that's only going to take 4 turns, so let's get that done. I'm going to go a little bit longer on this video. Since it's going to be a one-off, I'm almost certainly not going to come back and finish this game. Then again, you never know. If enough people watch this video and like this video, that encourages me to keep that series rolling. 40 dust, Eminent Empire plan, and I guess the question is, do we want to finish scouting this? We might as well, right? We're almost back to full health, so we could get in a fight, and that would be beneficial to us as well. You should be able to move there, no problem, and that'll get you guys 2 military units to deal with. I'll try to move at a little bit quicker pace this last 10 turns or so. Alright, so we reached age 2. Once you reach age 2, that unlocks all of the tier 2 military items. So it makes sense to go ahead and pay to upgrade all of your military units. Now, this is the point in time where maybe buying extra movement or extra vision can be helpful. However, this army's plan long term is just to sit in a garrison and feed XP to my hero. So I'm actually not too keen on adding any kind of a trinket to them. At least not those trinkets. Those are more for scouting. We can retrofit his army, and we can also outfit him with more effective weaponry. And his trinket I am a little bit interested in. Improved vision is beneficial to what we're doing right now, and having the sharp senses does help if we get attacked by ranged units, because he's not carrying a shield at the moment. So I will go ahead and throw that on him. Ooh, no I won't. Can't afford it. So we'll just do this. We'll have to wait a few turns to build up our dust again. Alright, we finally unlocked tier 2. So you can see we got 9 individual techs from this tier, which moves us to tier 2. One of the other things that I like about this system better than I like about Endless Spaces system is they're very specific in that you need 9 from the science tree to move up in the science tree. Well, in this one, I just need 9 more to get this unlocked. And it could be like 7 from here, and then I go back and pick up 2 more of these. But it's just 9 more researches below the one that you're at, and that trend continues all the way up to the very top. So in a sense, it gives you more flexibility, which I like. And it doesn't force you to constantly move up the tree in order to unlock the next tier. Sometimes that makes sense to do, and other times it really doesn't. For us, I'm going to just briefly point out 2 things that I have come to the conclusion of. You can disagree with me if you like in the comment section and let me know why I'm wrong. But I think that meteocratic promotion, which is something that a lot of people rush when they get to tier 2 in this game, is one of the least valuable technologies in tier 2. Should you get it? Yes, at some point. It's 100% necessary. Is it important to rush it? No, absolutely not. And the reason for that is the benefit that it gives you is very, very small, especially until you have extremely large numbers of military units. The value of it is very, very small. The extra accessory slot actually does have some value, but it actually increases the upkeep of your military units. So your armies cost more dust without even adding units to them. It's just every stack costs an extra 2 dust to maintain. Yes, you can fit 6 military units in a single stack, but if you are more efficient with your use of the reinforcement slots, you can actually get the same number of military units just by running 2 armies side by side. Run an army of 4 and another army of 4, and you get 6 units on the battlefield the first round of combat, and the other 2 fill in. And depending on how you set that up, that can actually be to your benefit. For example, you can attack with frontliners and then allow your ranged units to fill in as reinforcements and engage later in the fight where they actually can benefit from their range rather than being right up front. So there's a lot of tactics that I found that if you're just better with using your reinforcement slots, you don't need this technology in the early game. Now, once you get a certain number of military units actually produced and on the battlefield, it does start to make more sense. But until you have like 2 or 3 large stacks, this is not very useful. What I feel is the most important and most useful technology in this tree for most factions at the very beginning of the game is Glory of the Empire. And the reason for that is the bonus influence that you get for this allows you to run better empire plans. And the sooner that you get this building down, the sooner that the empire plans actually get unlocked for you. You actually make enough influence without moving all your population to influence to generate reasonably good empire plans, and those can have some pretty big impacts in the game. So for me, who likes to play with the empire plans a lot, I think that this is really, really strong and one that should be considered as your first one. Now, I'm going to pick it up here because influence is really important to our faction. So that doubles down on my desire for it. But the one thing that's kind of frustrating is since we only get one city, we only get to build this once. And what really makes this powerful for other factions is you build this in every single city, and it amplifies the influence of all of those cities. So it's a much more useful building in terms of keeping up with empire plans. The problem that we're going to have is as we get more and more of our cultist villages, I can't build more of these to offset the increased influence cost of empire plans. So it may not be as good with the cultists, but it's still an important resource that we need. And we should pick up. The other thing that's actually really important in the very near future is going to be getting these guys. But since I just picked up the Dogeshi, I'm going to go ahead and delay them. Alright, get that XP and pearls, which are helpful. And actually, well, we've already got 2 turns away from finishing that. I was going to say, I probably should have built the Altar of Araga next, but this will work just fine. Alright, and we finally found the Silix. This is going to be an interesting fight because of the terrain. I'm not sure how their military are going to spawn in, probably back here. And we're only going to be able to fight one at a time, which probably works out just fine for us, because these guys are pretty scary, like the Ursas. In one turn, we'll be able to build boats. And I think I'm going to go ahead and finish to turn 40. And we'll end the video on turn 40. That should be a good spot for us. First we parlay. They want 12 titanium. We don't have 12 titanium, so instead we attack. And I think we can auto this. Yeah, interesting. Okay, we're going to have to attack them again. One, 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure. I guess what we'll do is we'll leave the we'll make 4 of these, and we'll leave the other 2 as reinforcements. I can't quite make it. Alright, well, we'll just go there for now. I'll just get both of them. Also, I might have enough to grab another one. But again, this is a bad one. Maybe we grab that one next. Alright, let's attack you guys again. This should be fine. And we're going to have to do it 3 turns. Really? How bizarre. That's finally done. Search 2 ruins in Antab for 50 titanium. Oof, that's really far away. I wish I could do that because we really could use the titanium. Since we have a big stock of glass steel. Alright, let's get him back as a governor like I had originally intended. We finally produced enough science to get that done. Took us a while, but we did it. And I should be able to convert this village, which is excellent. That gives me you who can join my forces. Alright. I am completely out of influence now for the short term. But if I get another village and I get another military unit, we might actually go ahead and go to war with these guys and start fighting back. It looks like purple is pressing in on the necrophage as well. So they've expanded their territory significantly. You can see they've already got 1, 2, 3, 4. So at least 4 territories in less than 40 turns. So this is a very hard challenge at this difficulty level. Playing at a lower difficulty level, they expand a little bit slower, but these are the necrophage we're talking about. They're going to expand fast. And so I'm not sure what our chances are of winning this one. Even if we were to play it to its continuation or to its conclusion. Probably not good, considering I don't have a ton of experience with these guys, but I'm not sure experience would even help in the long run with this kind of start. Alright, it says convert 2 minor factions villages into the cult. We managed to do that, so we got a reward. New objective, assimilate a minor faction for 20 Moonleaf. Okay. What are our chances? $28, $42, $37, $29, $52. Oh yeah, these guys are way more advanced than us. They also have one of these, which is terrifying. They also have their militia, which is terrifying. I think the question is, can we get out of their territory? How are they attacking us? I don't even see their military. Like, there's a military way down here, but we're not even over there. This could be one of those graphical bugs. I think we just retreat here. Why are we not able to retreat? I am very confused as to what's going on. Alright, well, I don't know why we were considered a garrison. That's unfortunate that we lost our hero. We want to pay for this. Oh my goodness. And I forgot to check. Okay, well, this is super unfortunate. So a couple misplays. Last turn, before we finished the turn, we should have moved a bunch of people over here, like this, to ensure that we had enough influence to run the Empire plan that I wanted. The only thing that I really wanted to run this turn was this, because we were going to be building armies for the next 20 turns. So If I were to continue this, I'd probably go back and replay that turn. I don't know what happened with that battle. There was some kind of a graphical bug there where it says we were a garrison and we couldn't retreat, but we weren't anywhere near even one of these villages. So I'm not sure what was going on with that. But I think I am just going to go ahead and end the video at this point. And again, if we did replay this one and we wanted to play it again, I'd start at turn 39 again and try to replay that and see what happened with this. And then obviously get my influence so I get my empire plan, because I was a little distracted there by whatever weirdness was going on here. But there's 40 turns of Endless Legend for you guys today. We will probably play the Riftborn game either later tonight or tomorrow and finish off that series in another video or two. And then I'll be moving on to something else. So for those of you who've been sticking around, thanks so much. And please like the videos. It does help me out. Also leave comments if you have anything that you want to talk about or share. If you want to see me play something else, let me know. And until next time, this has been The Nose Plays, and you guys have a wonderful day.